What's up guys, my name's Brandon, and today Apple released iOS 14.6 Beta 1 to registered developers and soon to public beta testers. And this comes just a couple of days after the release of the RC build of iOS 14.5, which of course I did cover here on the channel. Now, in addition to iOS 14.6 Beta 1, we also got iPadOS 14.6 Beta 1, watchOS 7.5 Beta 1, and tvOS 14.6 Beta 1. And as far as macOS goes, we got that yesterday. So we got macOS Big Sur 11.4 Beta 1 yesterday. But of course, this video is all about iOS and iPadOS 14.6. So starting off with the size of this update, I am currently, or I was before this update, on 14.5 RC, and you can see the update size from that is 4.69 gigabytes on the iPhone 12. So it will be a large download. Of course, going from a final or an RC build to a new beta is going to always be a large download size. So if we go over to the settings here and check out the build number for this update, settings general about 14.6, you can see the build there is 18F5046F. So we do have an F at the end of the build number there, which indicates we should have just a few betas, probably a few, maybe 4 or 5 betas for 14.6. If we go down a little bit to the modem firmware here, you can see we have a new modem update as well. It's now 1.70.03, so quite a jump there in the modem firmware. So now what's new here in iOS 14.6 Beta 1? And the first thing is actually when you first go to download this update. So if you go to your settings, general software updates, you will notice there is a change here in, actually I guess it was 14.5 RC, but it's gonna be here in 14.6 as well. So when you go to this page and you're on a final or an RC build, you will actually notice now down below, it shows also available, and it shows a beta update that is currently available. In this case, it was 14.6 because I was on 14.5. You can see it shows my phone software is up to date with the latest public release, but also available is iOS 14.6 in its beta form. And when you tap on that, that's when it shows you this right here. And then if we look in the changelog that Apple provided with this update, you could see here it says new features under software update. And you could read here, it says you can now directly update your iOS or iPadOS device to the latest release candidate without removing the beta profile. After updating to the release candidate, you can choose to update to the next available beta or uninstall the profile to remove your device from the beta program. So that is an interesting new feature added to iOS and iPadOS 14.6. Now also new here in 14.6 Beta 1, if we go into the podcast application and we go to our profile up in the top right, you will notice that we now have manage subscriptions. And if you tap on that, it will take you to all of the subscriptions that you currently have for your account right here. And this is actually put in the podcast application because as we saw in the Spring Loaded Apple event, Apple will be adding subscriptions to the podcast application. So paid subscriptions for certain podcasts will be added in due time. And you can see, of course, this is still a beta, so it is very slow to load this page, but there you go. You can see it pulls all the information. This is everything I pay for right now. And then I guess eventually it will start showing podcasts that you pay for in here as well. And then one of the first things I always check when I update to a new iOS version, especially a beta, is if the app tracking transparency feature is still grayed out. And if we go in there, if we go to my privacy and to my tracking, you can see for the first time in months, it's finally not grayed out. So iOS 14.6 Beta 1 finally fixes the bug where the app tracking transparency feature was completely grayed out. And if I actually go back to the RC build here on my iPhone 12 Pro, which is my main device, which is on the RC right now, if I go to privacy and to tracking, you can see it's still grayed out. And it's been like that ever since 14.5 Beta 1, which again has been months. So 14.6 finally fixes this bug. And, I'm very happy about that because I was kind of missing out on this whole feature all along, but now it seems like it's fixed with 14.6. Another thing I check after every update is if the AirPlay to HomePod feature is pretty much less of a train wreck than it has been throughout 14.5. So when I go to, hand off music to my HomePod, or when I just AirPlay music to a HomePod, it's just a very laggy, very buggy experience. At least that was the case in 14.4 and especially 14.5. But I tested it for about 30 minutes here on 14.6. And it definitely seems more fluid and less of a train wreck, than it was in previous versions. So it seems like Apple is listening and they are patching up some of these issues that I've been encountering a lot over the past couple of months. And then also inside of the music application, when you go to search for an album or a playlist, sometimes it would take a long time for these songs to load right here. Like when you would search for it, then you would tap on like the album or the playlist, it would take a while for everything to load in here. And it seems like that has been addressed here in 14.6 as well. It pretty much loads instantly now, whether you're searching through the library or through Apple Music. So if I search this through Apple Music, it would be the same way. That's actually a song right there. But if we go to like an album, you can see it doesn't take a long time to load as it did for some people in 14.5. Now, Apple labels this as a bug fix update. So I'm sure there are lots of bug fixes that will be made known pretty soon. I mean, bugs that I didn't know existed that have been fixed in this update. I'm sure we'll hear about those pretty soon. But I really didn't have many issues on 14.5, aside from the app tracking transparency feature, the AirPlay to HomePod feature, and of course the music queue bug. So that's one thing I didn't test out a ton, but I did test it out a little bit, and I did not have the issue where the top song would not be able to be moved. The little 3 lines there would just disappear, and you would not be able to move the top song in the music queue. So I will test that over the next couple of days and see if that's been fixed, but it seems like it might have been, but I'll have to test that and see. But those are really the only bugs I've really had on 14.5. So I'm sure there are other bugs out there, but nothing I was facing. So 14.6 pretty much instantly on the first beta addressed some of the main concerns and the main bugs I had in 14.5. Now, one bug that I cannot test is the green tint bug. So if you're still having green tint on the iPhone 12 series, again, I've never had that on any of my iPhone 12s that I own, so I cannot test that. But the green tint issue has not been specifically addressed, has not been specifically mentioned, at least by Apple, but it could be fixed in this update. So if you were having green tint on previous versions of iOS, please update to 14.6 beta 1 and let me know if it has been fixed for you. Let me know in a comment or reach out on social media, and I will let you guys know this weekend, most likely in my follow-up video, if that has been addressed or if it's still there for some people. Now, as far as the performance goes, I'm currently running a Geekbench test right now. I just started it to see how the performance is in terms of at least what Geekbench interprets the performance, but so far feels about the same as 14.5 to me. Obviously, I've not been using it long enough to really know for sure, but it feels about the same. Just my first impressions, my first, hour or two of playing with the software. It feels the same as 14.5. We'll see what the Geekbench scores have to say though. So you can see we got a 1596 on the single core and a 3956 on the multi-core. So a pretty high single core there, but a pretty low multi-core. It could just be because things are still indexing in the background, but you can see the comparison there. Actually, I did do one earlier. I forgot about that, but pretty similar scores there. But compared to the RC build of 14.5, you can see there on April 20th, 1599 versus 1596 and 4079 versus 3956. So again, that doesn't really tell you the full story, but those are the Geekbench scores here for 14.6. And as far as the battery life goes, it's too early to tell if battery life is better or worse here on 14.6 beta 1. However, I would not expect it to be any better than it was on 14.5, the RC build, just because that's not a beta anymore. It's the final release for developers. So not expecting really any change at all to battery, but if there is any type of significant change or any noticeable change, I will let you guys know in my follow-up update, my review on that, which is probably coming this weekend. Even though I will only have a couple of days with it, I will let you guys know how it's been running for these past couple of days. Now, as far as what's next for Apple, next week is a pretty big week. So we do have iOS 14.5 getting released to the public sometime early in the week, most likely Monday through Wednesday. My guess would be on Tuesday the 27th, just because Apple does love those Tuesday releases. And then also on Friday the 30th, we do have new products like the AirTags coming out, which I will cover here on the channel. So pretty big week next week. And in the middle of all that, we could even see the second beta of 14.6. However, we could also be on a 2-week cycle, especially since this was released on a Thursday. We may not get the second beta until maybe like May 3rd or May 4th, sometime in the first week of May right there. And then of course, not too long after that, on June 7th is when we will get iOS 15 beta 1. So a ton of coverage coming in June. So we're really not that far at all away from that, just over a month away from seeing iOS 15 beta 1. So we'll have to wait and see on 14.6 beta 2 though. Of course, I will keep you guys updated on Twitter, on Discord, and even here on the YouTube channel as well when that gets released. So that's pretty much everything I found so far here in iOS 14.6 beta 1. I'm sure there are some other minor changes in this update. However, after just having 14.5, which has a ton of new features, and the fact that we're on a 0.6, I'm not thinking there's that many more features in this update. But of course, I will let you guys know in my follow-up and of course in future beta update videos. But if you guys enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you found anything else new or just your overall thoughts on 14.6 or even 14.5 RC. But anyways, guys, make sure you subscribe for future coverage on 14.6 and iOS 15 as well. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon.